Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed your lunch. We were discussing at our table that since this is a talk about fitness, kind of gives you permission to have dessert at lunch because you're probably going to work it off later on, right? At least we can tell ourselves that. Please join me in welcoming our webcast viewers. My name is Andrew Graham. I'm president of the Canadian Club of Toronto, and I'm your host for today. Viewers, thank you for joining us. Great ideas and exciting speakers. That's what our club strives to offer every time we get together. We've been doing this for 122 years. I was just chatting with Mr. Lynch about the history and some of the great speakers we've had on the podium, including speakers like Winston Churchill. So no pressure, Mr. Lynch. One thing we are today that we probably didn't do 122 years ago is that we are very technology friendly. As I mentioned, please follow along on Twitter, and you can visit our website to find out more about upcoming events and purchase tickets. Let me now introduce our speaker. Peloton. It refers to the main field or group of cyclists in a race. The word is now becoming synonymous with a revolutionary approach to fitness. Recently launched in Canada, Peloton harnesses technology to help us be our best selves. Men's Health magazine has called the exercise bike the best cardio machine on the planet. And I know we have some very devoted fans in the audience today, which is really exciting. We've had a number of people come up to Mr. Lynch and say how much they enjoy using the product. The man behind the brand is William Lynch, who serves as president. He heads Peloton after an impressive career providing leadership to well-known companies. He is the former CEO of Barnes & Noble. While there, he transformed the bookseller into the leading retailer of content, digital media, and reading devices. He headed the creation of the popular Nook Reader. During his tenure, Nook sales accounted for more than $1 billion in revenues in 3 years. Under his direction, other award-winning devices were introduced. This includes the world's first Android color tablet and the Touch e-reader. He has held other executive positions, including serving as CEO of Savant Systems, a smart home technology innovator. And joining Mr. Lynch in conversation this afternoon is Amber Mack. Amber began her career during the dot-com boom and serves as a strategist for several technology companies. She's also a popular best-selling author. Her books include Power Friending and Outsmarting Your Kids Online. That's a high bar, so it's a book we all need to read, well, those of us with kids. A regular speaker at international events, Amber also contributes to media organizations like Fast Company, CNN, CTV, and Sirius XM Radio. William, Amber, I'm pleased to turn our podium over to the two of you.
All right. Thank you. I should start with saying that although this feels like a very formal event, Canadians are a lot of fun, right, guys? And welcome. We are going to have a conversation today, and we're going to be taking questions from the audience as well. The first question I wanted to ask you is about Peloton, because you may see the name Peloton and think of it as a company that is just one business. But as you dive into the business of Peloton, you realize it's more than one business. You have hardware, you have software, you also have retail. Can you talk a little bit about all of those pieces of the puzzle?
Yeah, it's a great place to start, Amber. I mean, it's funny in our history, the story that doesn't get told a lot is how many doors were slammed in our face early on as we were trying to raise capital. And the reason that is because we would go and pitch investors and say, okay, we want to build a hardware company making big things. We want to launch a live streaming media network with studios and instructors and broadcast fitness content 24/7. We're going to have showrooms across the globe and build retail. And then we're going to build kind of FedEx meets XPO and deliver all the fitness equipment ourselves. And the investors said, oh, that's expensive. And all they saw were kind of red numbers on the P&L and the balance sheet. And I think the magic of Peloton is how vertical we are. And the reason that is, Amber, is we're maniacal about controlling the customer experience and trying to create something just different than that's ever been created. And so it's kind of the irony of the Peloton story, which is the reason it was so hard to get capitalized and get off the ground in the early days is what I think has made us so successful.
Let's talk a little bit more about that, because I think most businesses, especially in the startup phase, would say, you know what, maybe these investors are correct. Maybe we should outsource this piece or that piece. Where did that persistence come from in terms of continuing with that path of doing everything yourselves?
Well, it starts with vision and just having had some experience about where things break down, I've distributed a lot of products through major retailers, and I won't name them or pick on them, but if you've ever gone into a Best Buy, who I think is one of the world's better retailers, and asked for help on a certain technology problem, you understand that person who looks like they're 13 years old, and you probably want to adopt them, but you don't want to buy a mobile phone from them. And so it's a little bit of just experience and how much we cared, but also if you look at it, modern companies are wanting to control more of that experience. And so you look at mattress companies like Casper, you look at some other companies that think the selling and the servicing is not an interruption of their day, it's part of the product experience, and it's where the whole world's moving. And so we've seen that for a while.
I also think it's interesting in the early days that Peloton went to crowdfunding. There was a crowdfunding campaign where the goal was $250,000. What was learned during that period?
Right, our Kickstarter campaign, that we needed better videos and a video production, that we were going to have to explain the proposition in a lot of detail. We were just joking at our table. It's such a privilege to be with such distinguished guests at our table. But when people first came in, they said, "Why do you have an iPad on a bike?" Meaning a little quip about it's a hard thing to explain connected fitness. It had never been done before, and so it really taught us we're going to need a platform to tell this story in a much deeper way, and that was sort of led to our commitment to retail and retail stores. This wasn't just something you could sell online. And so now we have in the US over 60 retail locations with amazing specialists and inspiring people every day. Increasingly though in the US, we have an expression, our members are selling more bikes than we do, Amber, because of this incredible experience that has been created.
We're going to talk a little bit about the Peloton community, which is an avid community of fans, as you've mentioned. Just wanted to switch gears a little bit in terms of your experience working in retail and coming to Peloton. What did you learn during those years in working in retail that you've been able to bring with you as Peloton goes and opens showrooms both in the US and in Canada?
Yeah, retail is fascinating. How many people in the room work in or around retail? Yeah, retail's obviously, Amazon sort of changed everything. I think they're the big ones, but more than that, consumer expectations changed a lot. So as I think deeply about retail and what's happening, I would say there are three general trends that have informed our thinking. One is experiential. It's no longer okay to stock shelves. You've got to create an experience in your retail environment, and a good example of that for Peloton is our test rides. So now you can book a test ride online or a test run with our tread on the site or on our mobile platform. We will schedule a run or ride with you at one of our showrooms. When you get there, you also pick your music preference. There will be a towel for you, a bottle of water, your name on a placard. You will go to a separate private area and you can take a ride or a run and understand the experience. So I think moving to experiences, for any of you who have traveled to Asia, South Korea, Japan, China, they are way ahead of the US in particular on experiential retail. Another one is showrooming. You can't actually leave Peloton retail with any product. You are basically, we're telling you, we're instructing you, we're selling you the product, but then it gets delivered. You will see that increasingly occur, and where multi-channel companies are using retail for showrooming. And then I think the third is really about smaller formats. It's expensive to have four walls, staffing's expensive, and so what you'll see, we have what we call micro stores. You'll see companies, Amazon's testing this with books, go to smaller formats. So a lot's going on in retail.
And also another thing that you have been doing is many people think about Peloton as the bike. However, there are other products as well. So not only do you have these 5 different verticals, but now within one of them, you're rolling out other products. Talk to us a little bit about some of those products that cater to different types of fitness enthusiasts.
Sure, yeah. People think of us as a bike company. We've never looked at it that way. We had a little secret early on. You're not allowed, this is another thing I think entrepreneurs need to do, is you need to not mistake a clear vision for a short distance. You're not allowed to tell people your secrets early on because they think you're not focused. if you're talking to investors. But we always wanted to be the global fitness platform for the home. We feel like the Peloton membership at the center of it is the crown jewel of almost an indispensable utility in homes globally, where if you care about health or wellness in your family or for you and your partner, you are going to have a Peloton membership, and we're going to offer you, and we're investing a lot, spin classes, outdoor running classes, which are audio only. We just launched live yoga, boot camp, strength. And so with the world's best instructors in a community brought to your home, and everyone in your home is covered for that membership. So yeah, you're not a lot of people are onto this yet, and we're sort of revealing the story as we go along, but that's the aim.
It's interesting, too, in terms of the community that you've been able to build. And although I didn't prepare this in my questions, just last night I was on Facebook, and a good friend of mine who's a single mom had posted about Peloton and saying that, it had essentially, saved her life in many ways. She's able to now work out at home. She doesn't have to go out to a gym. I'm just curious why you think now is the right time for a company like this, and maybe if there's any stories from the community that you've experienced along the way that have really touched your heart.
Sure. We had well, I'll tell you one from, this one was tough. Last holiday, there was on our Facebook page, there was a story where a husband had bought a bike for his wife, and his wife was diagnosed with cancer, malignant cancer, and she was working. She had to stop working. They could no longer afford the bike. And so the community came. She loved the bike. She was riding every day. The community came and bought the bike. They said, "You're not selling that bike," and they bought the bike for her. And so that was that's talks to our community and how heartfelt it is. And we hear those kind of things every day. I was telling our group, I delivered a bike. There's this misconception that Peloton is a rich person's fitness toy. Nothing could be further from the truth. I delivered a bike in the Bay Area earlier last year to, sometimes I'll go on these deliveries just to freak people out, and so I'm close to the business. But I delivered it to a couple who lived in maybe this apartment was 500 square feet in San Bruno. They had 2 kids. I had to help move the crib, and we put the bike in. He was from Mali. He had been in medicine and was a janitor. She was a teacher, and they loved biking, and so we delivered that bike to them. And he was so happy about it because now he could ride like he did back in Mali. So yeah, thanks for doing the research. We're reading those stories every single day.
Now, when you think about building any type of community, and obviously there's a pretty diehard social media community who loves Peloton, I think another thing that is also true in 2019 is that people are fickle and trends come and go. We see many businesses that are trying to copy what Peloton has done, many who are trying to compete in that area. What do you think will allow you to be able to sustain the growth that you've experienced over the past couple of years?
It's a great question. I mean, so we look at what's not going to change, and what's not going to change is people are going to want to work out. We think for N equals the next however number of years, fitness and exercise is science, and people get more informed. There will be a tsunami, and we're seeing this, towards fitness and wellness. Nothing beats home in terms of convenience, and that's what one of the real disruptive planks about Peloton is. We brought the energy and the efficacy of boutique studio fitness classes and the world's best instructors into the home. And that's not a fad. That's no more a fad than shopping online at home is a fad. That's the way the whole world is going. And so our job is to make that more and more compelling, and that's what we're doing through software and connecting the community, better instructors. I might have some news on instructors as it relates to Canada. Yeah, and we see it in the stats, sorry. So year on year, on average, the Peloton member works out 11 times a month. That's up 27% from a year ago since we've launched all this new fitness content. So this is here to stay and is only going to grow.
What is this news you speak of when it comes to Canada?
Yeah, so Latina and I were like, well, we really like Amber, so let's break something. So our Chief Content Officer, Fred Klein, we have wanted to, as you guys probably know, we broadcast from our flagship studios in New York City. We're opening one in London. We've been recruiting a Canadian instructor and we have a finalist who we really, really like, and she speaks 2 languages, which may give you another hint as to what's coming. But we think we've got our Canadian instructor, and so I can't announce her name or anything yet, but be on the lookout for that.
All right, well, thank you for sharing that with us. We also have some questions that are coming in from the audience, and I think this is a great one, especially as you touched on the conversation we were having at the table, where we're talking about, oh, why is this iPad attached to my bike? This is a question about technology. With the ever-changing nature of tech and innovation, how does Peloton continue to adapt on a daily, weekly basis, monthly basis, based on the fact that, even Apple has to come out with a new product every single year?
Yeah, we call this the product that's improving every single day. So we, from the beginning, John Foley, who was our CEO and co-founder, he and I have thought about it as a software company. So what you'll see, if anyone own a Peloton here? Amazing, thank you. Hopefully what you're seeing is new features being launched weekly, daily, every month. And so literally that's what we're doing. We are trying to surprise and delight. You will see very soon we're going to make a big announcement around music and being able to link music to your other services as you discovered on the platform. So really we all come from a kind of consumer software background. And I think it's deliberate. We've sort of created that headset at the company that the product is improving every single day.
What is this music news you speak of? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, that I can't tell you.
One secret is enough for us. We'll take it.
Amber's a really good reporter.
This is, I think, a great question. Just knowing your background and experience. This is a question more about you joining Peloton and your experience with the company. The question is, did you know that fitness was your calling, or are you surprised that your career has led you in this direction? Yeah,
as I rapidly approach 50, my physique belies sort of how I grew up. I had always been an athlete. This is like a dream come true for me, actually. The ability to take consumer technology. Some people grow up wanting to be an astronaut. I, from a very young age, wanted to build products and invent products using technology to automate in the molecular world and improve what could be done with tech and software. And so that's been phenomenal. The consumer marketing aspect of this is really fun. And then fitness is just, it's just the coolest category in the world, I think. We're not curing cancer, we get that, although I will tell you we're improving people's lives, to your point, Amber, about the Facebook and stories I hear every day, stories I heard before we started. I'm not going to embarrass them, but with their rider names. But yeah, I think our whole team is just beyond the moon right now, and the growth of the company. It's just a very, very exciting time to be at an exciting company.
And as I mentioned at the table as well, today is a really important day in Canada because it's Bell Let's Talk Day, which is all about mental health. And you shared a little bit in terms of how you think fitness and mental health and how it feels so great to work at a company like Peloton that is helping people achieve those things.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that's spent any time working out knows and science proves it, there's a connection between mental well-being and physical exertion. It's just proven. And so, yes, we hear that all the time. And a lot of the feedback we get from our members is actually, yes, you will never see a Peloton ad where we talk about weight loss and before and afters and the six-pack. Never, ever will you see that, at least on our watch, John and my watch, because this is about the better version of you. If you look at our positioning, it is about unlocking the amazing thing that is humanity, and how do you pursue something better. And if you guys that are riders or runners hear our instructors, they always talk about that. You're not going to hear about the 40, you may hear about it on our Facebook page because it's happening, but the 40-pound weight loss is not the narrative of this company and the benefit. It is much more what you just talked about.
We do have a bunch of questions, which I'll get to. The first one I want to ask, and I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on this one, just looking around the room and seeing different organizations that people are coming from. I'm hoping you can answer this question, but in the context of knowing that, hey, everyone in this room is perhaps from different industries. What does Peloton look 5 years from now, and how do you think you succeed and thrive in a business economy like we have in front of us today?
So 5 years from now, we're going to be in more and more global markets. We raised our Series F financing. We raised about $500 million. Thank you, JPM and David. David's here among our distinguished guests, who runs JPM Canada. So we did that explicitly for international expansion. So you're going to be on the leaderboard. I was telling you, I was on the leaderboard last night with a woman from Stratford, Ontario. Her name was Red Maple Leafs 08. You can envision riding with someone in Dubai, and you can envision being on a run or a boot camp workout with someone in Brazil. And we think that connecting people increasingly, not through bikini shaming on Facebook, although I'm not here to trash that platform, but through endorphins, through fitness, through music, and through community and support, high fives, has got to be our charter. That's the highest order bid at the company, and that deserves to be a global brand. So you will see us in a lot of categories. We have new product development on the way, so you will see other hardware platforms beyond bike and tread. You will see us get into other fitness workout types, none of which I'm allowed to announce today, or Latina's going to not invite me back to this from now on.
I won't ask any more uncomfortable questions, I promise.
But yeah, it's really around, it's kind of like what Amazon has done with Prime, where you can't do anything in life without using your Prime membership. Again, we want to think about that with Peloton. How do we increasingly put more and more utility in that membership?
When you talk about growth, particularly in terms of the global marketplace, that leads nicely into this next question. What are some of the barriers that you encountered when launching your commercial product here in Canada?
Awareness is the first barrier, just getting people up to speed. There's this misconception, you guys have heard it, or if you've ever been in the US and tried to market to Canada, the 51st state. It's just not true, and you guys know that better than anybody, but in the US, there's still a fair bit of hubris, and so having a deliberate marketing plan and really addressing that awareness, and our retail is part of that. Hopefully you guys have seen some of our marketing. The other commercial considerations is when we launch certain products, so we led with the bike explicitly, and that felt like the focused and right thing to do. How do we get local knowledge? So we spun up an office here in Toronto. We felt like having a footprint here mattered. In fact, I interviewed a potential country manager yesterday. So we're committed to be here. We want to understand the local consumer. There's nuance here. We did a bunch of research on the Canadian consumer. There's a lot of interesting things. You're more value oriented than the US consumer. Maybe because you're smarter, I don't know. But,
let's go with that.
Okay. But I think we did our homework, and it's a different market, and we get that. We're a very humble company versus other places we've been, and I think that's a function of John working and I working for people who weren't necessarily that humble, big cult of personality types, and so we're thrilled to be in Canada.
Great. This is a question that many people who are here, even some who are shopping and thinking about getting a Peloton, this is a good one. I really don't like spinning, but how do I get involved with the Peloton community? What other devices or product offerings do you have that will help me experience, the Peloton experience?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Well, first of all, I would tell you I didn't spin before Peloton. That was not my workout of choice. It becomes an addiction, and if you haven't tried it, a Peloton, even a 20-minute class with the music, with the instruction, with the community, it's the Men's Journal called it the best cardio workout on the planet. I think it's one of the most entertaining workouts on the planet. But we have Peloton Digital, which is our app-based streaming service. So for $19.49 a month, no hardware up front, you get access to our content, the community, and you can use the equipment you already have, go to the gym, use us on an iPad, Chromecast it up on your TV. We've got a web browser for Peloton Digital, so and that has yoga, boot camp. It's got a whole suite. Actually, spin's not even our fastest growing workout type anymore. So if you haven't checked out the suite of offering in fitness, you should, because it's much broader than just spin.
All right, a few more questions here that have come in. They are kind of all over the map, but that's probably a good thing. This question is about the retail space, specifically the world of books. And it says, will bookstores exist in 5 years? And maybe you can also just give us your thoughts on the future of retail, although you've touched on it somewhat.
Yeah, I think books are absolutely going to be around for 5 years. I mean, book is a technology since Gutenberg invented it is shown amazing resiliency. It's portable. You can take it with you. You can bend pages, and if you look at it, and this is often what happens. The analysts were predicting back in 2011 that ebooks and e-magazine, e-content was going to be 70% of the overall volume of copyright content. It quickly got to 30, and that swamped a lot of people. A huge bookstore in the US chain called Borders went out of business because they had massive leases, all this fixed overhead, and as books declined, they couldn't keep up. What you're seeing is actually a stasis is happening, at least in the book business and even in the magazine business, where print and digital are sort of holding onto their shares. So what's happening though is in general in copyright content, everything's moving digital, and we know that. Also, screen time is being taken up by all non sort of reading, games, casual gaming, et cetera. So printed, printed content, book and publishing and magazines is a challenged model. In terms of retailing going forward, I think that it's going to be about smaller formats and some of the things we talked about. You obviously, in a world of Amazon, cannot have a commoditized product. Mass merchant retailers are in a lot of trouble, as we're seeing. That's not new news.
Another question for you, this is not from the audience, but from me. As you were speaking, I was thinking about other industries and how you're often compared to Netflix. And I'm just curious, what do you think of that comparison when people say that Peloton is like the Netflix of fitness?
Yeah, it's obviously flattering. Jay Hoag, actually, who's chairman of Netflix, just joined our board. TCV led our Series F round, so that was a massive validation for the company because Jay sees what you see, Amber. Maybe we should ask you to invest in the Series F. I would say the one difference between, well, there's several, but the biggest difference between Netflix and Peloton from a media perspective is Netflix is a passive lean back experience. I'm watching various Netflix shows and I'm sitting back. Peloton is a 30 to 45 minute escape every day where I'm fixed in to that experience and I am participating. It is the first, and I want to be clear on this point, digital interactive media company, meaning you are part of the show. And anyone who's been at Peloton gets that. When you see your name on the leaderboard and you high five or you chat to somebody, you are actually part of the show, similar to Robin Arzon, who is a lead instructor. And that's kind of a mind-blowing thought where I'm in a program, it's streaming around the world, and I'm an actor in that program and part of it and contributing to it, my metrics, everything I'm doing. And so that we think is a massive differentiator. But yeah, we're huge fans of Netflix and following a lot of their playbook, actually.
Great. It just reminds me what you were saying is something I was going to ask you about, which you covered, but I had been reading about a comment that your SVP of Global Brand Marketing said, and it's along the lines of what you said, which is our job isn't to create a community, it's to enable it. And I think that's interesting, just talking about the interactivity piece of it.
Yeah, that's Carolyn Tish Blodgett, who was just awarded Adweek's Brand Marketer of the Year for the work she's done for us. But that is, if for those of you in the audience that remember, in the late 80s, and then when Steve came back, Steve Jobs, in the mid 90s, you'd see cars and they'd have an Apple bumper sticker on the car, and you're like, why would someone put a computer company's sticker on their car? And you knew something was happening here. And that's what's happening at Peloton, where, and this is true of all great consumer brands, where the members have totally co-opted the brand. We're not in control of it anymore. We are in some ways, obviously, in the consumer experience, but they have completely swamped us in terms of their ability to tell our story, build on the story, And we want that. So to Carolyn's point, we're fueling that. And that's built into the product in terms of the social features. I mean, I actually think I should answer this better. In 5 years, people will get this secret as well. We are going to be increasingly seen as the new social media platform, meaning, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, now the two dominant ones. There's others like Instagram, which is part of Facebook increasingly, but I think we'll be seen as the third plank around fitness as an important aggregated social media platform.
No bots.
No what?
No bots.
No. Yeah, we're not going to spy on you.
Okay, good news. So we only have a few minutes left, and I want to get through these questions just so everybody has a chance to get their questions answered. So we'll do a kind of, rapid style, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
Is there a plan to IPO the company? Just a little question there.
Next. Ask David.
All right, there we go. Do you have your own education and training platform for instructors?
We do. Our instructors get a massive stipend and tons of training. I actually joked with Fred Klein, our Chief Content Officer. We could run a reality show on recruiting Peloton instructors. It's kind of like being a Michael Jackson backup dancer. We scour the globe. There's waves of resumes that come in. They have to go through all these auditions. Anyway, absolutely. And then when they come on, they can't even go on air for like 5 months because of the training. It's incredibly hard and a rigorous process to become a Peloton instructor.
That leads nicely into this next question. Who is your favorite instructor?
Oh, God, I can't say that.
That's okay. You can pass.
I like them all. It depends on my mood. I think that's the beauty of Peloton. Sometimes I want hip hop. Sometimes I want country. Sometimes I want, Jen Jacobs to melt my face off with Led Zeppelin.
Perfect. That's a great answer. So our last question from the audience, we all have equipment sitting in the corner at home, unused. Do you worry that this will be a fad?
No, I don't actually. I think the difference between the baggage of the fitness equipment, we've all had the coat hangers and gotten in trouble with our significant other for the misguided purchases. This is a media, more than the hardware, this is a media content and play, and it's a community play. And so it's less about, I bought the bike or the treadmill or whatever else we came out with, and it's more about the membership and a lifestyle and being inspired every day. And so it's very different than what's come before it. And so we don't draw that analog to what we fully recognize as baggage in the fitness category.
Just one last question to wrap things up. For people in the room who are thinking they want to try Peloton, they're interested in your comment about Peloton being, really the future of social in many ways, which I would completely agree with. Can you just share, your first experience maybe on a Peloton and how you think it can change lives in the future?
Yeah, your first experience, like anything's scary. Like when you don't know anything, it's scary. And so I think the way we've, because how do I clip in if you've never clipped in? How does this treadmill work? Where's the knobs? It's one of the reasons, Amber, we love retail so much. Go in and meet some of these specialists. I tell our head of retail, Tim Shanahan, we cast, we don't hire. Meaning these people, it's also a rigorous process to become a retail specialist. But they will make this so easy for you, and we've all been there. It's tough and it's weird, and how does the screen work? How do I select my class? We think the product's intuitive, but there are a lot of questions. And so both online with the tools we have and in retail, go in, schedule your test ride or run and see for yourself.
Great. Well, listen, thank you so much, and thank you to everyone for all your questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I thought that was really a terrific conversation over lunch. It's rare to hear from someone leading an organization, leading a company that is in such a rapid phase of growth, and I think in many ways at the vanguard of changing an industry. It's amazing how digital has changed so many aspects of our lives, and really fascinating to hear how it's changing fitness and changing the experience of exercise and making it more social. So really enjoyed that. I also noted what did you say? Canadians were very value oriented. Was that the term? I'm going to use that next time my wife calls me cheap. I'm going to say, no, I'm really value oriented. So I thought that was an interesting insight. But thank you so much, William, for joining us. You've made a career of leading innovative and positive disruptive companies. Really impressed with your desire to change this industry and to really have the effect that you're having amongst the community. And I'm sure you've inspired many of us to go try the product in the retail location. So thank you so much for joining us. And to Amber, you do this so well. Thank you for being part of this. I think if we had more time, you probably could have gotten a few more secrets out of him. So I think, really appreciated everything you did. Thank you so much for leading the conversation. Just before we conclude, let me tell you about a few upcoming events. First of all, tomorrow we will host Mark Wiseman, Global Head of Active Equities at BlackRock, former head of CPPIB. He's going to discuss the future of asset management. I think it's going to be really interesting. And on Friday, February 8th, we're going to welcome Murad Al-Khatib, CEO of AGT Foods, which is a Canadian agricultural leader and innovator. If you don't know Murad, he won globally the EY Entrepreneur of the Year Award for all the work he's done building the agricultural sector and building that company. That is also going to be interesting. And their main business is pulses, lentils. I think we may actually have lentils for lunch that day. So if there are any lentil fans in the audience, you can come meet the person who knows more about lentils than almost anyone else on the planet. And finally, thank you to mediaevents.ca, Canada's online event space, and VVC for live streaming today's events. Thank you for joining us, and see you all soon.